Hi, it's Jane with Scraptastic Yarns podcast. Today is VEDA day 16. Today is normally a day that I would go exercise for about an hour, and then I go to my Naughty Knitters group at the hospital. It's a group with one of the used to be senior circle, then it became our healthy circle, and right now we don't know what UPMC is going to name it. So I kind of did that this morning, and there were only two of us there, and afterwards two of us went out for lunch. Then I ran over to Dollar Tree, found a couple of items. I'm going to show you those. I have been looking for some more artwork to put in my sewing room, and I found this. So I got it. It's one of the canvas series they have going. And our Dollar Tree finally got the little unicorn and dolphin rings holders. So I got one of those. Woohoo! And you'll notice I'm wearing lipstick. This is for you, June. My one friend can't stand that I don't even wear lipstick, so I put lipstick on for her. Now, I don't really like the way I look with lipstick on, so that's why I don't normally wear lipstick. I don't really like putting makeup on because I don't like the feel on my face. But, you know, June, I have lipstick on, okay? Not too much going on crochet-wise, although I did start the Afghan with the browns that I was given and asked to make something for a man. And I did decide to do that Afghan. I did add a couple of more stitches. It says to chain 100, and I chained up to 120, and now I'm starting the round. And basically you do it like a U. You start one side, go around, come up, go back down, go around, come up. Real simple pattern. Double crochet. It's okay. You know, I think double crochet is kind of loose and goosey. See how it is? I don't really like that, but I figure I'll go with it for this round. And you know, the other day in my VEDA, I had asked about the whether folks thought that Rescue Annie was Rescue Annie or Rescue Bill. Apparently, consensus is it's Rescue Bill. I've never seen a man with that much hair, but okay, I'll go with it. So that changes up how I have to decorate. Before I could put necklaces and all kinds of stuff. Well, I can still put necklaces, but I can't really do the scarves. I'll have to be a little more creative in the way that I decorate Rescue Bill for bingo. That might be a challenge. But, you know, I'm up for challenges, so I'll give it a go. I don't know if you folks follow Rebecca Styling's Crochet. She has a Facebook group. She does a lot of cables, crochet cables. And you know, that's something that's on my list to learn. Most often when she has patterns put up, she will put her patterns the first day for free. And then generally after midnight, it's so much money for them. So I always try to catch them when they first come out to download. Although I wouldn't mind paying for them because she does link a video to show you how to do the different types of cables that she's doing. And she, the way the patterns are written up are very well written. So I wouldn't mind paying for them either if I missed out. So I'm looking forward to her next pattern. She has a shawl that she did. And I'm looking forward to seeing it. The pattern, her workup piece is absolutely stunning, and I think that might make a great entry into the fair this year. So, I'm going to crochet a little bit. Let me see. Last night I got to thinking about things, and I'll tell you what got me thinking. I had a call this weekend, and it's someone who's donated some yarn and some other things in the past. And she's a little older than I am by a few years. She's getting in her 70s, but she gets around on her own, drives around, does all kinds of things. She had called and asked me to stop by. She's downsizing in her house and wanted me to pick up some quilting. I think she said books or something like that. Just wanted me to stop by and pick those up and take them down to the fire hall and, let some of the gals look at them, decide what they want, and then we figure out what to do with the rest. And I got to thinking, a lot of people tend to call me to pick up things and do things, and I have a hard time saying no. And that is one thing that the gals, the gals that I call the yarn posse, are always telling me that I need to learn to say no. Because I always say yes to everyone, to help them out. People pleaser, what can I say? Well, Chrissie Crafts started a Good Intentions stitch along, which is an embroidery stitch along. And it's been years since I've done embroidery. I don't know if I could handle the needles for too long, just because, I'm starting to get arthritis. I've got a little Dupuytren's disease that's starting to go, and what happens with that is eventually you get these knots in over these tendons and everything, and it tends to draw your fingers up. So someday I'm going to have a nice crooked hand before they decide to do surgery and release those. But I thought long and hard over this weekend, saw the video, and maybe I need to do one of those. Stitch me up a good intention for me. And there were two phrases that I came up with that I just, think that are positive for me. One is to just say no. I tend to put a lot of stress on myself if I can't meet the goals or be able to do things to help other people. So I'm thinking just say no would be one item to stitch. The other word phrase that I think I should stitch is let go and let God. Regardless of what your faith is, or no faith, or whatever, I'm always teasing people that they need to be able to have something either as a higher power or something so that they know that they don't have to meet everything, do everything. Many times you have to throw things out there into the universe and just let whatever happens, happens. And that's what that phrase kind of means to me. Let go and let God. Throw it out there, leave it alone, let someone else handle it. Let the higher power handle it, whichever you want to go with. And so I'm thinking I'm going to stitch those two phrases. Got a couple of tea towels. I think I'll stitch those on. Or I could use just plain muslin. Haven't decided. I did go picking a couple of flosses to do, so I think I might do that. Get started on it this afternoon, possibly. Now, you know that I'm part of Prayer Shawl Ministry with the Bald Eagle Presbyterian Church in Mill Hall, Pennsylvania. And this past week we had someone that was, they made a request that they needed more Afghans and more prayer shawls. And the woman apparently had walked up to the pastor when she was showing off stuff and with the shawl, and she made a comment to her, I can't make any prayer shawls because I'm an atheist. And I thought, apparently this gal's never heard of, the whole idea of prayer shawls. You don't necessarily have to pray while you're doing it. The whole idea is that while you're making the item, that you're putting positive vibes into that item. Positive, healing, good thoughts. Even atheists can do that. So, and even agnostics. I will tell you, when I was a kid growing up, one of my third grade teachers was a member of the Church of Nazarene. And she was always doing things with the kids, and their mother was too. And she had always invited all of us kids in the neighborhood to go to church with her. Well, I went to church. My parents at that time, they'd done a Bible study and decided that they weren't really, they couldn't decide whether there was a real God or not, so they kind of left it as is and went on their merry way. But my older sister and I and my younger sister, we tended to go to the Church of Nazarene every Sunday for Sunday school and services. Had a great time. Teacher would take us, pick us up, bring us home. So I kind of more or less grew up in the Church of Nazarene. Now when we were out and about, people would see us with my dad, and we'd be out doing things, and they'd ask my dad, well, we never see you in church. Where do you go? And my dad used to say, I belong to the agnostic temple over there on Cherry and 4th Street. That was always his pat answer. There was no Cherry Street where we lived in Roswell at the time. There was a 4th Street, but all these people just accepted, that he went to that church. Sometimes you have to wonder about folks. My father did eventually accept Christ into his life later in life. It was at a time when my mother had passed away when I was younger, and my father had met the younger woman and married her, and she had gotten saved and was wanting him to come to church, and my dad was like, well, I don't know if I believe in God. God's never proved himself to me. Challenge accepted. But they were at a pretty rocky place in their marriage, and they had been doing a lot of arguments, and Daddy was just ready to divorce her because he wasn't going to go to church and she wanted him to. So one Sunday morning he got up, he said, okay, I'll go to church today. And today God is going to have to prove himself to me, because otherwise we're just going to wind up getting divorced. Just don't want to be hounded to death. Well, my dad told me later, he said, got into church, and he said, one thing you don't do with a higher power is challenge him. He challenged him. Sat down there in the pew, and my stepmother was up doing some other things. He said as he was sitting there, some of the choir had started singing songs, and he had said this little simple thing. He said, okay, God, you're going to have to prove yourself to me. He said all of a sudden the bench started shaking. He looked down, he thought, oh my goodness, we're having an earthquake in Arkansas. So he looked around, left and right. Everybody was calm, like there was nothing going on. And that bench was just shaking. He said he realized that was God shaking him to his core. Fell to his knees, became Christian that day. So, sometimes you wonder how things work. Whether you believe in a higher power or good put out in the universe or whatever, sometimes we all need something spiritually. And I think too many times we walk away from it, ignore it, when that is a part of taking care of ourselves. We are not only human physical beings, but we are also spiritual beings. So, anyway, I don't know where I was going with that, just yammering on. Well, I'm going to close up for now. My podcast this week will come out on Thursday. I don't know if I have a chance to get it up tomorrow. Tomorrow's the day that we go over to Hoover's in Mifflinburg, Pennsylvania. That is a Bernina sewing dealer. We go over there and we have a class that's called By the Hands. And the only reason it was called By the Hands and they've just not changed the name is because we had started, there is a, I think it's buttermilkbasin.com that does a lot of wool quilting type things, rugs, those kind of things over there. And they had a set out for a year that was called By the Hands. And it was basically a wool stitching thing for folks to do. And the one gal that teaches the class contacted them, asked them if she could digitize some of those monthly things and turn them into a monthly quilt block, which is what she did. And she does that with a lot of different books. She always calls and, they get the permission so that they can do that from whoever owns it. So they're not breaking any laws. And generally what it means is we have to buy a book. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. This time we're not having to buy a book because they were single sheets, and she can hand those out as single sheets and digitize them through the embroidery company. And it's an embroidered block. It does applique and embroidery. So that's what we do. And this month's block is a bunny block. And the entire year this year is baskets around each month. I don't add the month to mine. I just don't want that on the quilt. Saying February, March, April, those kind of things. So I just do the block. But I will show you that block when I get it finished tomorrow, so you can see what I came up with. And the amazing thing in this class is to, at some point, get up and walk around and see how everyone else, the different types of materials, backgrounds that they chose to use for their quilt in the blocks. It's pretty amazing to see. And sometimes you'll see, oh, I have that material. I think maybe I'll do that. Change the block up. Many times I call these my practice blocks, but they do wind up becoming something in the end. Either a banner, to hang up for the month, or it will become a quilt. Just haven't decided yet. Haven't finished working on that. So I'll let you go, and I'll see you tomorrow. Everybody have a great day. Bye.